Today's meme of the day is... Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Lads Discuss Death Battle. Failing to launch a rocket into a Roadrunner is your only mate.
You know, I had something else in mind, but then you just went and said that.
What can I say? I'm always the quickest one on... I mean, granted, I'm also the one doing the intro, so... I guess I'll always be quicker on the jokes.
For those curious, my introduction was going to be... There was a mouse in my house earlier. I killed him.
And speaking of killing, coming in potentially killing this really cringy opening is Shawnee.
Oh, joy. We get to talk about imagination and then later on Toon Force.
All in the same video, kind of. I mean, same recording. Oh, that was perhaps our worst intro we've ever done.
I mean, that means it's only uphill from here.
I mean, that is true. But yeah, we are here to discuss the latest episode, Gurren Lagann versus Kyle Rayner. I always fail to pronounce his name. A.k.a. the White Lantern, which apparently someone had a lot of issues with it being called that. But before we get to that, we have a few comments from our last few videos. The first comment from Yang the Insane, this is to do with when we were taking the piss out of that Discord message about how we said... Mahito versus Shigaraki was mid. Don't you understand, Bill? Saying good is the same as saying it's bad. Accorded some people on our Discord, apparently.
Yeah. Y'all's logic is weird. Join the Discord server down below, by the way. Oh, weird.
Join the Discord so we can mock your tastes.
I mean, we get mocked 24/7, so it's nice to come, I was about to say come back, but it's like, wait, no. It's nice to give it back to people. But, jokes aside, like, we've already ranted about, we didn't think the episode was mid. But I do think people need to get out of this mindset, just saying something is good doesn't mean we don't think it's entertaining. It's just, it just didn't blow our minds. There's so many death battles out there. There's going to be some that we just say, hey, you know what, it was pretty good. And then from Starshock... this was to do with our review of Master Chief vs. Doomslayer. I'm not going to read all of it because he puts a lot in, but I'll bring out the ones that I think stood out to me the most. I'll admit, I mostly disagree about the analysis being better than last time, but at least here they were trying to tell more jokes. As far as hot take goes, I wasn't too impressed by the demon fight either. It was a bit of a pace breaker, and I feel like they could have done more creative stuff with it. That said, I found it funny that Master Chief's one advantage was basically nullified in the sidebar when they admitted barely would affect Slayer. Still a good episode. I'm glad it won the rematch poll. I'm just not as crazy about it as some. I really strongly disagree about them fighting demons together. Like, that was heavy metal.
You also need to... It's also okay to have something like calm down in between the fight, because that's a complaint. Oddly enough, we'll get into it later. I've seen people talk about the upcoming episode we're talking about.
Yeah, like, personally, one, it was a nice reference to, that level 1 episode we never got, the Doomslayer and Master Chief crossover episode, because Microsoft apparently hates money. Oh yeah, we'll do a crossover with Starfield for Doomslayer. What about Halo? What? But, no, and I do agree as well that, but the analysis for the last episode, Mahito vs. Shigaraki, like, yeah, I understood they were trying to tell a bit more of a kind of serious story, given these two. I just thought the humour, they did try and throw some jokes in, it wasn't as funny as previous episodes. The analysis wasn't terrible though, but I just think with this one, they managed to get more jokes in as well as information. And final comment from Nova Reverent. Next third topic being potential army fights. Here's Turok suggesting matchups for every Warhammer 4K faction in the distance. And then he puts in like a bold, me doing the same. I'll be honest, the only Warhammer's game, or even just anything Warhammer related, is the Space Marine one. I recently played that off my Steam account, and it was actually a pretty fun game. It was like Gears of War meets Halo. I won't lie. And also fighting orcs that are British. I don't know what is with orcs with British accents. Like, I never understood that. I love it, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah, the video games of Warhammer are pretty fun. I really quite enjoy Rogue Trader, I believe it's called, because it's like a Wasteland XCOM strategy-like game. It's still pretty fun.
Oh yeah, it's on Game Pass, isn't it? I might actually give that a whirl.
It is.
There's a Star Wars XCOM game coming out as well. Yes, I don't no longer need mods for the game. I can finally officially play it. But yeah, let's actually move on to the latest episode, Simone versus Kyle, and yeah, it was a pretty fantastic episode. Despite having characters, one I'm not familiar with, and one that I don't really care about, and I would give it a 9 out of 10 immediately.
And a victory for yours truly. Hooray!
So I guess we kind of need to talk about one aspect, because we did kind of touch on it in the last discussion. I wasn't too excited for this matchup due to the toxicity that surrounded it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't want to go into the mindset like I'm going to judge this episode more harshly because of the fan base. If I did that, then I wouldn't like Master Chief vs. Doomslayer.
What's funny is that the fan base for both Simone and Kyle weren't the worst fans about this episode.
They really weren't. Like, if you were to go into the comments right now, people, the amount of people that are saying, if you're celebrating Kyle losing, you're not a true Simone fan, it's like just, like, keep scrolling down, even with new comments, it's like, god damn. An episode that was kind of spawned from toxicity has the most chill outcome.
I actually heard about this. It wasn't spawned through toxicity. Unfortunately, the toxic part is like what gave it that push to then become popular.
Right, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I did find out there were fans who like came up with this matchup and loved both characters and just saw the potential for would be awesome.
I think I saw, like, there was some reaction video out there where the guy's whole gimmick is to pretend to be a hater of one character. He roots for the other guy. But he fell in love with Kyle during the episode too. Yeah,
like the amount, like I feel as though Kyle's popularity has definitely spiked from this fight alone now. And I'm even going to admit this before we talk about the analysis portion. I will admit I'm definitely looking forward to checking out Gurren Lagann as well as Simone, because I really didn't feel as though Richard really sold the character on me that much, aside saying he's basically Goku. It's like, okay then, what's his favourite thing to do? Is he funny? And nothing really got said about it, really.
His favourite thing to do is Nia. Lol.
Nice.
But
I'm looking at his background thing right now, and I just had to. I had to.
I was also, I'm not sure maybe Death Battle didn't really tackle it, because when we had Saber King on for the last episode, he mentioned how this anime is more of a parody than it is like a genuine, like, serious anime. I never got that vibe from the Death Battle. Maybe it is. I'm not trying to say it isn't. But
yeah, I don't get that vibe from the episode either.
No, like, for instance...
from the episode, it doesn't give off that vibe. It's also, like, kind of similar to how Bill felt about Death Battle not really acknowledging the influence Akira had. In a sort of way.
So do you think this episode might kind of have that little issue as well? Because I was assuming maybe Richard got it wrong, like, but if it turns out it is actually meant to be a parody.
No, it is described by the mangaka of Gurren Lagann to be a satire.
Right. I mean, that's not
kind of like Saitama, because he's meant to be a satire of an anime protagonist.
But instead of it being a satire on just protagonist or concept, it's more so a satire on just mecha anime as a whole.
Right, but honestly, from how they describe the story and everything, compared to like One Punch Man, you know, One Punch Man, you can tell it's easily a satire on like the whole superhero and anime genre. Like, You have cheesy, even My Hero Academia kind of has a little bit of satire. Like, you have the most cheesiest, like, superhero costumes, and they just get demolished by, like, more serious looking villains and that stuff. And then you just have this bald guy that just comes out of nowhere and just one punches them. But so
hey,
yeah.
so
Oh, go ahead.
So quickly going back to, like, you know, thinking the characters are great, I actually got a comment similar to that. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but easily the best DB in my honest opinion, and I initially didn't care for the Kyle pick as Simone's opponent. Bracket, huge Gurren Lagann fan, could never get into DC, close bracket. Now I think Kyle is sick as lol, good reaction.
I mean, that is valid, to be honest. Like, I mean, I think what this episode does well, like, even though it doesn't really explain the Gurren Lagann satire side, I guess that's a complaint you have, Sean. It kind of did the Akira thing where they didn't explain the influence. I think what it does do, though, it shows why these two characters are pretty hype. And also,
Yeah.
Wow, SpongeBob had his world record broken of having the fastest speed feat.
Congratulations to Simone, de-throating the f***ing sponge.
I love the edit they did for that as well. The fact they used that scene from, like, the Employee of the Month. I'm trying to remember the character it was. Like, he was like an old cook and he returned. And Mr. Krabs showed he still had, like, the big Employee of the Month picture. I was like, that... Honestly, the editor for that, you deserve a raise, because that is genius editing.
This was
think-
DJ Tiki.
Yeah, it was TJ.
Yeah, and you know, I do kind of see his little edit, but it was also just the fact, can this speed feat ever be topped? Like,
They'll probably find something.
Yeah. What's funny is that you see other characters who held this record on the back wall too.
Yeah,
And none of them are the Flash.
I know,
Hey,
right?
did you not read what it said up top? Calculable speed feats.
I know, but still.
Wait, so does that imply that the Flash is potentially faster than Simone? I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, given the fact Kyle has managed to out... Well, actually, the thing that's kind of interesting stat-wise for these two, which we'll get to when we discuss the actual fight... stats
Yeah, I
really
think they put them both at incalculable speed.
Yeah. Also, I will also admit, usually I'm quite knowledgeable on, like, a bit of maths. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm a mathematician, stuff like that. I was having trouble understanding the, a lot of the maths they did.
Dimension scaling?
Yeah, I was actually confused, because I remember Richard bringing it up last episode, and he tried to say, oh, it's a very simple explanation. He never explained it, and then suddenly it was like, alright, Deathbow will explain it. I still don't understand any of it. Maybe this is why I only got a...
See, that's the neat part. It's not.
Yeah, maybe this is why I got a B in maths.
Ah, yes, because the European schools teach dimension scaling math. One
See,
semester
you guys
failed.
talking about that is just making me picture Richard at a maths exam, and his answer to the question is Deathbow will explain it.
He's in the
You
middle.
still need to show your work. He puts the timestamp of where specifically in the video.
God, if that was the case, I could have passed all my exams, like creative writing, like, alright, Bill, what's your story? They just go like, it just shows mate's fanfic story, like, there you go, that's enough pages of words. It's like, you didn't write it. Technically, I copy and pasted it. It counts. But yeah, in terms of like Simone's analysis as well, like, I will admit, not as many funny gags like the last one, but I think they made up for it for just like, one, the editing, and two, just, I don't think I've ever gone, what the hell, as much as just Simone and Kyle's analysis. Simone the most, like, Jesus Christ, man.
It's like, explain to me why this happened, Gurren Lagann writer, because I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
Basically.
okay, I know there's that whole saying, the rule of cool, where writers don't really think about things, but he put thought and explanations for a lot of these feats. Like, hell, at one
Because
point,
people had questions.
like, he managed to be, like, draw so much power that he managed to, like, what was it, draw power from an alternate universe where someone was writing the anime Simone comes from. It's like, How does that even work? What's the logic behind that?
That's the fun part. It doesn't.
Like, I
It's
mean,
a fourth wall, because Gurren Lagann clearly doesn't have it.
they destroyed the fourth wall. It's like, I think even Deadpool's like, okay, you need to
With
chillax a
drills.
bit. Deadpool's like, okay, maybe take it back a notch.
Deadpool and Gurren Lagann sounds like the weirdest thing, but it makes the most sense at the same time.
But I thought Popeye
Who knows?
for
Maybe
its...
that'll be Deadpool's next crossover after Batman.
I still can't believe that's becoming a thing.
Batman is not ready for him.
If he's dealt with
I
worse
just mean in
matters-
terms of like humor and just like the fact he doesn't shut up.
He hangs around Booster Gold.
And Plastic Man. And The Flash. Which one? Yes. They're all annoying.
I think Barry's the one with the worst jokes.
Okay, you know, that is true. He definitely has the worst jokes. But back to this though, like, yeah, I think that's what I really liked about Simone's analysis. It was just going like, what the hell so much? Because, and that's the joy of learning about characters, because anytime I would read comments explaining why Simone wins, while Kyle wins, they never actually made it sound cool. Like, it's always like, ultra outerverse scaling, it's just like, that's just not interesting to me. But the fact they actually show just like, the scale of his power and just the actual calculation and the explanation for it was actually there. It's like, oh, so that's what all those comments
One
keep
of the-
failing to show.
I like how in the feat section they just did the running gag that everyone was running with when Simone got announced. In the first feat, it's like, became the Simone that believed in him. And then everyone started quoting that. Even Brandon had like his own spin on it as well. It's just like, they made a meme of feet, basically. What the fuck, man?
Yeah,
Oh,
I will admit,
by the way,
some of...
I
Oh,
want
go
to.
ahead.
I kind of want to point this out about the like when they get into like the dimensional stuff, like the 2D, 3D, 4D stuff. There's a few Easter eggs in there. One in the bottom left corner that you can see Bill Cipher. Then when the cube turns 40, you can see Bob Solaris for some reason. And off to the side, there's Infinite, who very quickly gets crushed by a thwomp.
They had to bring that gag back, didn't they?
Apparently.
No, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I'm seeing him. Oh my.
He can't escape it.
Watch people are saying, oh, this is going to be a teaser for future combatants, and Dieter's just like, no, I thought it was funny.
But yeah, my final point about the Simone analysis as well is it also just made the character an actually likable character protagonist, because I guess when Shaw was bringing up like the similarity to how they didn't really go into the influences anime similar to Akira, like for instance, they didn't really dive too much into what made Tetsuo an interesting villain. It more so just explained his story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this one, they actually show why Simone is honestly a really cool, well-written character. It's like, yeah, he's really overpowered. But and this might be a hot take from me, and I haven't even watched the anime yet. I actually feel as though Simone's character about always pushing past your limits is done better than Dragon Ball's Goku. Like,
Damn.
don't get me wrong, Goku, always pushing to reach new limits and overcoming them is, hey, it's pretty great. But I just feel as though this one also showed just like, not only does it look stunning, like just from the animation alone, like I haven't actually looked up what the animation looks like for Gurren Lagann. I am really hooked after seeing one of these poor animators, man. No wonder this anime was only 27 episodes.
To be fair, it's also crazy because this was made in 2007.
Yeah, to be honest, a lot of old school anime still hold up today compared to like a lot of modern anime. Like Jesus Christ, I remember when they were bringing about
Like,
Berserk,
imagine
and
this.
Jesus Christ, the animation for that compared to the original Berserk, just no, just no. I would do a comparison, people show it on screen, but YouTube.
I think I just spotted a Ben 10 Easter egg in the analysis.
I mean, there's probably a lot of Easter eggs that are there, but I don't think I have time to. We don't have time to name them all.
Well, speaking of a Ben 10 Easter egg,
they showed a clip of Paradox.
Yeah, my final thoughts about the Simone analysis. Yeah, I actually thought, they actually got me more hyped for this character. And honestly, the story behind him was it's definitely an inspiring one. I'm definitely looking forward to checking out the anime. I hope it's probably on Crunchyroll, right?
Probably.
It's somewhere over the rainbow.
Well, speaking of rainbows, then I guess we should move on to Kyle. And I will admit as well, yeah.
Oh boy!
Despite being a character I do not care about, they did almost turn me into liking Kyle. Emphasis on almost.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I thought Kyle's analysis was just alright. Because they focus on a lot of other things surrounding it compared to Kyle himself. Like in the beginning of the analysis, who do they talk about? Hal Jordan.
You know him, you love him, you probably hate him.
I mean, on one hand, I can understand what Sean is talking about. On the other hand, though, Kyle's story does kind of begin because of Hal.
I mean, but also, did we really need a history lesson on the get fridge joke?
Well, I mean,
I actually appreciate that because I never knew where that term came from. So finding that out on a recording, I'm glad that's a thing.
Yeah, I knew about his wife being killed and stuffed in a fridge. But the fact it happened twice, I didn't know that part. I was like, wait, really, DC? Twice? Don't get me wrong, Spider-Man's Gwen Stacy always gets her neck snapped, but Jesus. But the fact that was actually the start of it was a bit... Well, I don't know what to say to it. I was like, okay, and learn something new every day, I guess. I don't really have much to say about Kyle as a character, because I kind of already went over my opinion about him in the last episode, but I guess what I will say is, one, I'm not sure if you guys ever noticed this, when they were showing off the Green Lantern Corp leaders, did you notice they had the freaking leprechaun amongst them?
Dear God.
Yep.
In leprechauns.
The fact that they referenced that movie is just great. Look, the movie's bad. It's so bad, but so good. The fact I saw in the background, that got a chuckle out of me. But I want to admit, I also did like the fact that, again, bringing up Saber King, he mentioned how Kyle's character is meant to be a metaphor for or his story is meant to be a metaphor for drugs. No, I think the analysis
definitely don't see it.
No. Mental health and stress and, having so much pressure put on you. Yeah, absolutely. You can look into that. I did not see the drug comparison. He did not seem like he was obsessed with this power. Hal Jordan, you could maybe argue that. Because he got himself some more rings.
Hal Jordan became jokery. That's what he did.
Do you know what? Actually, while I was editing the last episode after I made that joke, I'm always curious whenever I say something bizarre, or whenever I say something bizarre, I'll Google it. Even though it's not officially part of the dictionary, jokery is actually, weirdly enough, a term that some people use. Right, hold on, let me get it up while Sean...
It's not a thing in a regular dictionary, but it's a thing in the urban one, goddammit.
Yeah, tell you what, I'll just quickly get it up now. Because I was so surprised that this is an actual thing. Yeah, here it is. The word jokery does not appear to be a recognised word in standard English. It's possible of misspelling a slang term or less common word with specific meaning. Mostly, it's meant to mean just, being a joke. Your jokery. So, my whole slip up of the tongue ended up turning out, hey, it's actually kind of a thing amongst certain people. It's like, oh, okay. I swear I did not know that.
Also, I find one of the funniest timings that I joked about Kyle beating Oblivion. I'm like, oh, he beat Elder Scrolls 4, and then they actually know who Oblivion was. I'm like, I need to learn to shut up.
They're trying to... I mean, they did recently release the Oblivion remaster, so hey, why not reference it in a death battle?
True. It's a really good remaster, by the way.
I have actually played a little bit of it. They've really... But they both updated, but they've also kept the jank, which I like.
That was the whole purpose.
But speaking of jank though, yeah, similar to Simone, I knew Kyle was powerful, especially the White Lantern thing, because as I tried to explain in the last video before I got hurried up by our guest, yeah, the fact that the White Lantern has all of the Lantern Corps, I was thinking to myself, yeah, only the most powerful ones and noble ones are the red lanterns, the green ones, and the blue ones. But the fact that, Jesus Christ, having all these lanterns combined could just basically... The White Lantern could really be used in a lot of modern DC stories. I mean, I think there was actually a recent comic where Kyle did gain the White Lantern again. I could be wrong about that, but I think someone in our server said that. But, like, Jesus, people said, like, Hal Jordan was overpowered. No, Kyle was definitely more overpowered than I realised. Like, I can understand why this is said to be the no-you death battle, because realistically... Any power you could probably think of, Kyle could pretty much do it, which was surprising.
Yeah.
But the thing I would say about, like, you know, Kyle's story, like, similar to Simone's, where Simone's definitely a more inspiring story about, you know, pushing further beyond your power and stuff like that, or, you know, reaching further beyond. I feel like Kyle's story is a story that I think many more of us can relate to, of, like, you know, having a lot of burdens thrown on us, and sometimes it can, even if we push, like, to do better for it, it can still be quite overwhelming. It was like, never actually thought about Kyle's story like that, like, because when you think about it, I never even considered at the time, yeah, Kyle did actually have a lot of, pressure put on him. It's like, hey, listen, the Green Lantern Corps are dead, I'll give you this power, and you must save the universe and the multiverse, good luck. It's like, oh... Thanks, weird alien dude.
How do I do that? You'll figure it out. Bye.
Great.
And, but unlike with previous Green Lantern like owners, like, you know, even Hal Jordan, he was employed by the military, so he has military experience. Kyle did not have any of that. He only started getting into combat when he gained the ring. Even Jessica Cruz got involved in some scuffles.
That's just how everyone is. So how you were a pilot, yeah. Jessica, you served in the military for a bit. What about you, Kyle? I like comic books.
Yeah. It's like...
I do like how when they brought that up, they were just like, and we know from making this show, they come up with some wild shit.
Yeah. By the way, I actually just got up to that point. I just love to edit when, you know, the whole frigid thing, like how smoothly it panels into the wiki page. like, again, I love the edits they do for these death battles now. It's so stylish, and it can make a lot of like visual gags. I mean, compared to like the Wiz and Boomstick gags, just what they do with these ones now is just great. But yeah, I thought they did Kyle justice. I did see a few comments saying they did feel as though Wiz and Boomstick were kind of ripping into Kyle's character a little bit, but it's kind of one of those things that's like... Kyle's not really that popular amongst a lot of the Green Lantern characters. But I could kind of see what they were talking about. But overall, I thought they did his character justice. League.
If I had a nickel for every time a lesser-known Green Lantern got popular because of a franchise crossover of sorts, I'd have 2 nickels. There's Kyle, and then last time it was Jessica. Okay.
In Jessica's defense, though, she was kind of already popular. It was just, you know, the Ruby fan base got introduced to her as well. Probably the only good thing that happened from that
John
crossover.
or Hal.
And she was
nowhere
cute.
near that.
Yeah, John and Hal are definitely... It's still debated on which one of those is the best Green Lantern. Spoiler alerts, it's John. Yeah, I think my final point for this analysis, though, despite not really being into Kyle as much as everyone else, I thought they actually did his character justice. Like, no, I don't agree that they, made fun of his character. I mean, Death Battle do poke fun at every franchise they get in Death Battle. And this was no exception. But I'm actually curious about you guys, because you guys weren't that familiar with Kyle.
I mean, yeah, they made him sound cool.
I mean, for what there was about Kyle, it is pretty awesome to hear some of the stuff he has done, and just learning about, like, more about the different lantern colors was also pretty great. But it still feels like that everything else surrounding Kyle's analysis just kind of suppressed it down a little bit. Anything else you wish to add, Bill?
Well, no, that's why I was giving you guys the stage before we got to the fight. Like, but hey, if you guys don't have anything to say, yes, we will.
I'm kind of just waiting to get to the fight, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Man, feel like this is the less Mate's ever had to say about a DC character. Right, yeah, I guess we'll get to the fight now. Yeah, pretty awesome fight, I will admit. And even though it's a bit of a sprite fight, it feels more like a hand-drawn fight.
No, it's like 99% hand-drawn. The only sprite is the Balrog sprite.
Yeah, like... Which I was surprised by, because I really thought we were going to get another sprite fight, which I would have been against. The sprite team does a lot of killer fights. And I also do like how this fight starts.
A callback to the last time a lantern was in a death battle.
I like how it's like, alright, says you're carrying a super weapon. I'm thinking it's the giant mech.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what, I love that sort of humor when the characters see something so obvious and they're like, I think I understand what I was called here for. It reminds me of that gag from Power Rangers versus Voltron, or the Megazord versus Voltron, and they're like, I think I found the dinosaurs, and you just have these mechanized dinosaurs charging at them. That's the vibe I was getting. But, yeah, no, honestly, like, the sprite, well, not even a sprite, like, just, I did not expect this to be a hand-drawn fight. I thought we were going to have some hand-drawn elements. But it was like, no, pretty much 90% of this fight was hand-drawn, and given the next time, that's still amazing. We're probably going to get, well, not even just the next time, but we've already had a hand-drawn fight this season. It's like, damn, like, if you were to compare, like, the first season to Death Battle now, like, Jesus. They've come a long way. And I do love, like, Carl freaking using, like, the Green Lantern ring to have, like, a giant hand just spinning the giant shades. It was like, that was great.
Yeah, and of course he summons Balrog to, like, box Gurren Lagann, and when that doesn't work, Luigi's Poltergust 5000 to suck up the missiles.
I know, right? Like, I think if there was a...
Which he then turns into Shenron.
Like, I'm not sure if we had this, or maybe we did say, and it's been a while since we've reviewed Green Lantern versus Ben 10. But if there was a complaint I kind of had about that, was that it didn't feel as though Hal did anything creative with his ring. Where Kyle definitely stepped up amongst creativity, like, the freaking golfer he summoned to just smack the head away.
It's my favorite. That's one of my favorite parts.
The exchange is hilarious. Tell me about it.
But the thing as well about that, you know, first he hits his head with the golf club. Abby would be proud.
Oof.
But the fact, like, his head gets knocked... The fact his head... Sorry. The fact his head gets knocked off, but he immediately goes to... I almost said something inappropriate, but uses drill on Kyle.
Then we immediately get the, like, universe-sized Gurren Lagann and White Lantern, who matches this giant mech with a construct of Superman.
Yeah, I freaking
love that. Isn't that like
that.
a cosmic armor Superman too?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Also with Wonder Woman's shield made from Blue Lantern ring and a sword with Green Lantern.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to go all creative with this fight. I mean, you got it with these two. I mean, their whole characters is that they need to be creative to use their powers, so why not put that same energy into the death battle? And
yeah,
also, I know we're talking about the characters and the fight itself. The background as well with the fight, like, they really wanted to like go all out on this, and I also like the little comic like fonts that appear during the fight as well as the anime fonts. It's like, again, similar to like the Kratos versus Azura death battle when they had like the titles appear. I love little touches like that. They could have easily just had the characters charge him, but the fact they added those little moments, like
I was looking for an image, but there's just one joke I saw about Kyle's White Lantern form that I can't unsee now. Especially since the remake for this joke is actually real. A new season for it's coming out.
oh my god, yeah, I can't unsee it. Wait, well, this count as a death battle curse then? Because after this joke, they announced that new season.
Yeah, like the intro came out like yesterday or so for it.
It's like, wow, even the community
like,
has a death battle curse.
oh my god, dude.
Alright, death battle community, now say Half-Life 4 is here! Say it! Say
Guys,
it!
stop trying to force it. That's not how this works.
Sean with the Han Solo, that's not how the curse works!
Also, like, speaking of that fight, I just love the exchange the voice actors for both Kyle and Simone give during it.
Oh my god, they were really good. Now, I'm not sure, you know, well, for Kyle, he's had like different voice actors over the years, and plus he's a comic book character. But I won't lie, Simone's actor sounded pretty good as well. I did look up some clips of the anime to see what he sounded like, and I wouldn't say they're as similar as when they got like the actor for Master Chief in the last Death Battle, where it made me think they actually did get the actor from the game. But he did a solid job for the character, capturing that whole, you know, I'm gonna get ya sort of vibe, and, you know, reaching further beyond. It's like, yeah, he gave the energy.
So,
dude, could you imagine if they actually got Yuri Lowenthal for this?
Jesus, can you imagine?
So, playing Simone was Kieran Reagan. Their last performance was as Giorno Giovanna, oddly enough.
And we know how that went.
Playing Kyle was Brandon Acosta, who...
Oh my god.
When he talked about it on Twitter, he said, like, the coolest thing he's ever done was saying the Lantern Oath in this episode.
Oh my god.
That was the coolest thing he's ever voiced.
So I just realized with Kieran voicing Giorno, you guys remember how he died?
Yeah.
Yeah. And given the carvings on the sinful shell, you could say it looks like a drill.
Hey, that's just stretching it.
I mean, it did kind of spin when he fired it. It counts. But I do. The last portion of this fight as well actually gave me like All Might versus Might Guy vibes, where both they started off with like I'm here to arrest you, but then they were actually getting into it. Like, you know, when Simone summons the freaking ginormous drill that's even bigger than the multiverse sort of thing. Again, the analysis explained that was still confusing to me. Like, the fact Kyle was just like, let's do this, and he summons all the lantern symbols to form a bigger drill. It's like, that is anime as fuck.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But he's just like, let's do this. Like, you can see the little smirk. He's like, let's go.
Apparently, going back to the voice acting thing real quick, apparently both Chad and John Mitchell, the storyboard artist for Death Battle, also voice characters in this
Wait,
episode.
that's what he does? I made that joke last time.
Yeah. I don't know who they voice. I think Chad's the voice of Kamina when Kamina says, like, the Simone meme line. I could be wrong, though. Because I feel like that sounds like Chad a little bit.
Maybe. But, yeah. But, you know, bringing up...
I did see additional voices.
But yeah, you know, bringing up the whole, like, he summons, like, all, like, the big drill, and Kyle summons, like, all the lantern symbols to form another drill. Like, I know we're kind of skipping to it as well. The music for this fight, holy hell, was it epic.
Oh, that shot with that smirk Kyle does,
Yeah.
Honestly,
Okay.
I prefer that drill over Simone, like design-wise.
It's
Oh,
so
for sure.
good. Like, the fact is like, oh, you got... Yo, Dai, I heard you like drills, so I got this drill to be on this drill while I drill ya,
He made a drill with rainbows right before Pride Month.
Like it was meant to be.
I'll see if the fight only came out a little bit later, he would have won.
Nah. I guess you could say the pride before the fall.
Nah.
Damn it.
But I was also gonna say, like, yeah, with how awesome the music was, the fact that people still wonder, can Brandon, like, top himself with a commission and, like, live up to this? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he can.
He...
Have faith in the Brandon that makes the music you love.
Okay, dude.
That doesn't really work, but I tried.
And, you know, Sean already brought it up before. Yeah, the Lantern Oath... Yeah, the Lantern Oath is just something that will always be epic in any story. Like, I remember when the Green Lantern animated series came out and Kilowog said it in his alien language. He's just talking complete nonsense. But it still sounded epic.
This is probably one of the best renditions of the Lantern Oath I've heard.
Yeah, and the fact they both finished the fight, they're both almost fully depowered, and then they both summon like one last drill. Yeah. And honestly,
So,
even the death as
what the
well,
fuck?
it wasn't over the top brutal, but it was actually still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Lantern Ring going Simone saying, like, you have been chosen. I was like, yeah, I suppose that would make sense. The Lantern Ring would do that.
Especially considering how Kyle's story ends.
You just killed me. You want my job?
I mean, have you never read a DC comic with lanterns, mate?
I'm also just about to joke, like, goddamn, imagine if getting a job was that easy.
Okay, mate, well, but murder's not easy, Jesus. It's like, hey, boss, I just decapitated the manager. Can I have his job? Yeah, sure, why not? We need a new manager. What was that episode of Futurama when they just kept... What was that alien species where the kings kept getting assassinated and the assassin kept taking the role?
Oh yeah, that was season 1 Futurama.
Yeah, I remember it. Like, Fry was like, look at his king. He's like, this guy killed this guy, and look who's next. It shows Fry then the person, Fry's assassin, Fry's assassin's assassin. Well, at least I know what my assassin gets afterwards. But also, I've said my piece about the fight. It was fantastic. Music, animation, and depth was all really good. Do you guys have any final says before we talk about the analysis portion?
So, I think, like, I mentioned this in my reaction, but the fact that the fight ended with just, like, the fist fight, like, no mech or anything, I think that really shows, like, the whole, like, willpower thing that they were going for the conclusion. Plus, I know it's, like, a reference to the end of Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, that's how Simone fought and beat the anti-spiral, funny enough.
Yeah, so that's a really cool way of ending the fight.
Yeah, this fight was just eye candy, like pure eye candy. It was a lot of fun. The voice acting is one of the best for this year Death Battle. The only complaint I've heard about is it's just all action, and there's no like break during the action. For some people, it's a little too much, which is fine. I didn't mind it too much.
Yeah, it never bothered me.
I don't mind it too much. I don't mind it, but that's just...
I also just don't listen to the fans anymore.
That's just the one complaint I've heard about with this episode. That's the main one I've seen.
Yeah. There is people kind of split about the analysis. I guess we've said our piece about the fight, so should we get to the conclusion?
Okay.
Sure.
So, people are generally quite split on this outcome. Like, but I've also seen a lot of people, and this is me included, this is one of those death battles where I don't know whether it's correct, because these two just have so much going for. Like, you know, Goku versus Superman, you could make arguments how Goku could win, but you could maybe slide more to Superman, especially in the recent comic book where he fought this girl that channeled the power of the entire multiverse and beyond, don't ask, and Superman held back that power with just his heat vision. So you could make arguments like, yeah, you could make arguments with Goku, but Superman clearly takes it. In a similar case with, you know, Joker versus Girano. It's like, yeah, you could make arguments for Girano winning, but Joker at his max is just too much. This is one of those death battles, though, which I'm like, honestly, you could give it to any. You could give it to any of them.
Tell
really.
that one to the G1 blog crew. Everyone who worked on that blog voted for Simone. No one voted for Kyle.
Yeah, but the G1 blog also went for Majin Buu over Kirby.
Yeah, I was about to say, they've also gotten plenty of fights wrong before.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, it's so up in the air with these two.
Like,
I will say, the one thing I'm not sure on is the tie-in imagination.
I heavily disagree with imagination being a tie. I definitely think Kyle should have had that. And, like, your explanation for why it's a tie saying Simone could absorb his energy. Like, maybe if you
Well, that's
go
not
to, like,
imagination, though.
and that's just defenses. If you're talking pure imagination, then you gotta give it to Kyle.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. Like, what you guys are saying. Like, the whole point of a lantern is that you've got to be creative. Like, you know, Simone summoning a bigger drill is cool, but compared to, like, using a freaking, like, vacuum cleaner to stop a supernova, or summoning some, like, anime laser or anime mech to defeat a god, it's like, he's definitely got the creativity.
And plus, like, they even said in the analysis, like, despite the fact Simone has a lot of different abilities, his main stick is drills. Meanwhile, Kyle's just like, hey, look, I made a pirate ship. What's that gonna do? Flatten you like infinite? Who? Oh, look, I win.
But this is the aspect I disagree with, actually. The White Lantern ring would lose power compared to Gurren Lagann, who would get powerful over time. It's been stated, the White Lanterns, you can't actually run out of power when you have it. And yes,
is that the thing for White Lantern?
Yeah, the White Lantern, you can't destroy the ring, and you don't have to charge it. It doesn't need... Yeah, the Green Lantern ring needs to be charged, but not the White Lantern.
Just like an iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, the idea is the White Lantern ring is not only that he had the life equation or something, which I didn't even think they were even going to give him that. But
Yeah. The life equation really didn't matter.
It
Yeah,
does
they brought
matter
up in
to
the
an
post
extent.
that it was as much a detriment as it was a help.
That's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because with Nia using spiral power just to keep regenerating, after hearing that, I felt like the life equation kind of didn't really matter.
I would think it does matter because, depending on how it's used, it can actually destroy people like Simone. But at the same time, even though I disagree with the whole White Lantern thing, like, yeah, that shouldn't run out of energy because, well, it's unlimited. It gives you infinite power. On the other hand, though, you could make
We're dealing
arguments...
with, like, so many infinities here.
Yeah, that's the thing. Given the fact Gurren Lagann's also infinite with its power, it's relative to say both could just match each other at that point, so both couldn't run out of energy. But this is one of those death battles where it's like, if you were to tell me, here's my reason for Simone winning, okay, I believe you. If you were to do the same for Kyle, I also believe you, because, you know, I was convinced Kyle, well, I was first thinking Simone was going to win, but then after looking into more about Kyle before the prediction, I was like, okay, Kyle might actually have more advantages. But after the death battles analysis, like, this is one of those death battles where I can't 100% conclude that, yeah, I agree with Simone winning. It's one of those things is like, this is their argument and it makes sense. I've also seen arguments people said for Kyle, and those are also convincing. Like, at one point, they could just say Kyle could just simply just make it so Simone never existed. It's like, yeah, the White Lantern ring can do that. One, is that in Kyle's character to do that, though, is the question.
Yeah.
But
it's like, they didn't want... It's like when people asked about Alucard having Schrodinger. It's just like, they can't ruin Lords of Kyle, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's like, I don't know whether, it's one of those things, like, usually I could disagree with a death battle, it's like, well, here's why they got it wrong. And yes, they did get some things wrong about Kyle's White Lantern ring, saying it has limited charge. It doesn't. I'll even put it on screen for people. It does not. But given the other stuff Simone has at his arsenal, it doesn't really matter that they got that aspect wrong. It's not like this one of those things like, well, because it's not like with Bardock versus Omni-Man, where they're like, well, Omni-Man destroyed a planet that was twice as big as those 3 planets, Kim Vegeta. Yeah, Omni-Man had Invincible and another Viltrum might help him though.
I think they said in a black box that, like, yeah, he had help, but we're also not dividing it like we usually do because we can't pinpoint who contributed what. God, that still irks me so much.
Yeah, I will admit that. Like,
Womp womp.
like that's a very lame way to give Omni-Man the win. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it. But it's one of those things where if you have to kind of, like, make some bullcrap excuse to make your argument more valid. I'm not saying Death Battle did that, but the vibe it kind of gave me. But this episode is one of those cases that they did make so many arguments with these characters. This is probably, just the analysis alone, was going back and forth so much that it was like, they're making good cases for Kyle, they're also making good cases for Simone, so I think how I look at this episode is, this matchup could go any way based on what you believe. Like, what aspect do you agree with, and how do you think the character would handle the fight?
Isn't that just versus debating as a whole?
True, but I feel like there's been some death battles though, and even just some verse debates where you can agree with the majority on certain things. Like, spoiler alert to our latest lads debate, Tommy versus Kiryu. You could make arguments for Tommy. He's not winning against Kiryu, given all the things Sean showed. But I guess my final say on this episode is, honestly, episode is fantastic, and I like the fact this is an episode where this is the reason why Simone wins, but it's still a really close debate. It's similar to like Bowser versus Eggman. There's just so much going for both the two that you can make a case for both people.
Yeah. I think I'll end this by saying, like, this is definitely in the running for, like, okay, spoiler alert for, like, the inevitable, like, ranking we're gonna do. This is in the running for my number 2.
Yeah, it's so far my number 2. But, I mean, we've still got some more episodes to come.
Oh yeah, especially... Oh boy.
Well, do you want to give your final thoughts, Sean, before we end it off?
It's a solid episode. I just wish Kyle's analysis was a little better, but the animation definitely kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, I agree with that.